Hi guys, welcome to another edition of Balloon Head Live. I'm your host per usual. My name is Marcelo Inestroza, and I'd like to welcome you to my review of Star Trek Strange New Worlds, Season 1, Episode 8, entitled The Elysian Kingdom. All right, guys, so for those of you who have been watching my reviews of Season 1 of Star Trek Strange New Worlds, you know that I haven't been too pleased with the overall negligence of Dr. Mbanga's need to hide his daughter in the pattern buffer because she has a mental illness. Or she doesn't have a mental illness, she has cancer basically. So I haven't been pleased with how his personal issues have put the crew in danger for a large part of this first season of Strange New Worlds. And while I've been watching the season, I've been concocting various ways to make him suffer and to call into question Captain Pike's command choices, and his and his overall uh, moral compass when it comes to what he's doing when it comes to doing what is right and what is wrong. Anyway, what I'm trying to say here is I wanted Dr. Mbanga to be brought up on charges for his decision to put his ailing daughter in the pattern buffer. And I am pleased to say that although I would have gone another route in reference to how to handle Dr. Mbenga's storyline, the way that it concluded in this episode was really, really delightful. So, enough about my prattling on. This episode kicks off with the Enterprise um, completing a survey of a planet. And when they try and leave that planet, they basically get stuck there in like this gaseous anomaly. And inside this gaseous anomaly, there is a living, breathing presence. There is an entity, but an entity without a body. And this entity scans the ship and he discovers that Dr. Manga's daughter is in the pattern buffer, but this entity is feeling alone and this entity wants somebody to basically share its life with. And the entity discovers that Dr. Mbenga's child is also suffering from loneliness, possibly some abandonment, and God knows what you know you know and God knows what else. Anyway, so this entity basically brings to life the storybook that we've seen Dr. Mbanga reading to his daughter in the few times that we've seen her this season. And I thoroughly enjoyed this episode because it was a hilarious romp. It was just so much fun to see these characters that I'm growing to love in a different light. My favorite two people in this episode um, is Laan and Nurse Chapel, because Laan and Nurse Chapel scenes were really, really, really hilarious, and they just had me on the floor rolling laughing. I wasn't rolling laughing, but I just had a smile on my face throughout this entire episode. Because often you just need one of those Star Trek episodes to be off the wall bonkers. And I think this is that episode for the first season of Strange New Worlds. And I also like the way that this episode started out, where you see Dr. Mbanga, you know, sort of reaching the end of his rope with his daughter and understanding that he's running out of time. So much so that he forgets to do a standard medical checkup on an away team that just beamed somewhere. So I really, really appreciated that this episode started out with a serious tone, but then shifted to the storybook style, uh, um, you know, and then shifted to the storybook motif from the book that Dr. Mbenga was reading to his little girl. Also, I really appreciated that the actor who plays Hemmer got a spot, a lot to do in this episode because of the characters that have been sort of pushed aside, and we really haven't seen that much of in the first season of Strange New Worlds. It would be Hemmer, and I really love that scene when he, um, you know, comes in contact with the evil queen, and the evil queen want to, take the king away, take the king that is being played in this scenario by Dr. Mbanga away from, Erica and and I love that scene where Hemmer just flips open the communicator and he just basically says, "I'm gonna do some magic," and I love how the actor who plays Hemmer just hams it up at that moment and he just has some fun with it. I really, really appreciated that. One of the characters that I thought was going to be a highlight of the season was Hemmer, but he's been around so little that I'm like, why'd you cast this guy? Why'd you cast this person if you're not, you know, if you're not showing what he can do as an actor? So look, it's not a negative, but I just wish that I would have seen more of Hemmer, and that's why this episode really scratched my Hemmer itch that I had for this season. Look, I can sit here and tell you how this story didn't work from a writer standpoint because y'all know that I am a writer and I could do that. But I'm not going to do that. And I'm just going to sit here and tell you that I thoroughly enjoyed this episode. Also, I enjoyed the final scene when the entity gives Dr. Mbanga a choice. It's either I can stop this illusion right now and you could go back to normal and your daughter could die, or your daughter could come with come with me and live forever, and I'll let your crew go. And I love the choice that Dr. Mbenga made of finally letting go of his daughter and realizing that the quality of life that she had in the pattern buffer wasn't what he would have wanted for her, and acknowledging that even if he chose to keep her in the pattern buffer, it's very unlikely that Dr. Mbenga would have been able to find a cure fast enough to save his daughter. So I really, really like the scene where he says, "Okay, this is the best option for my daughter, even though that it's going to hurt me tremendously as a father. This is the right thing to do." So I just love that he made that decision, and he wasn't a selfish person, and he didn't decide to keep his daughter in the pattern buffer because that would have been agonizing. So yeah, I really really liked that decision by Doctor Mbanga. Also, I think it was really really cool that after the entity let go of the illusion that she had on the crew, she basically erased everyone's memory except for Dr. Mbanga. And the last scene that we see in this episode is Dr. Mbanga basically about to relay the events of the past 5 days to number one. So I thought that was a really, really nice button to end this episode on. All right, guys. So that'll do it for this edition of Balloon Head Live. Um, as I switch the board because I always forget to switch the board. Um, if you've seen this episode, in the comments below, tell me what you liked about it. Tell me what you didn't like about it. But I would just want to say before I go off here, I've noticed an uptick in my subscriber count. Um, uh, in the last week or so. And I just want to say thank you to anybody who watches these videos and anybody who supports my efforts here on YouTube. From me to you, thank you. It means a lot to me. I really, really appreciate that you guys continue to support me in whatever way you happen to do that. And just thank you guys. You're great. So with all that being said, if you guys want to chat with me about this episode or about anything at all, the hub and the place to reach me is on Twitter. I'm at CreekFanatic88. You can see the you can see the ticker down there scrolling my handle. Um, but as I switch the board again. I always forget to switch the board. I should switch the board before I, give my goodbyes on whatever it is I'm talking about on Balloon Head Live uh, for the specific week. But as I often say, until next time, I'll see you when I see you.
So much happened here, and so much is about to.